Hi there and welcome to today's tutorial. Today we're going to be making this crochet hook holder or pencil case and adding a zip as well. Now if you're not confident with sewing, that's okay. It is completely your creation and it does not matter how well you sew in your zip at all. Let's not get pedantic about that. Now my zip's a little bit stiff. I'm going to have to put a little bit of wax on that, but as you can see I have got lots of bits and bobs in there, all the things that I'm going to need for this project. So come along and join me in making this wonderful crochet hook holder or pencil case. For this tutorial you're going to need a 10mm crochet hook, a stitch marker. I've got this little chain thing, but you can use any type of stitch marker that you have got on hand. A smaller crochet hook for weaving in the ends, because we're going to be using some seriously chunky yarn that will not fit into a tapestry needle. We're going to need a zip and a pair of scissors. So for this I'm going to be using this Seriously Chunky yarn from Cygnet. It's absolutely wonderful, really super chunky. It's 100% acrylic. There are 48 meters in this 100-gram ball. The recommended needle size here is 10 to 12 millimeters. Okay, 10 to 12 millimeters. Right. So let's get going. So we're going to begin with a slip knot on our hook, and I'm going to chain 18 for mine. 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's straighten that out. All right, now the reason why I'm going to do 18 and why it's actually a little bit shorter than my zip is because it will actually get longer and larger as we go round. So I'm going to make it about an inch too short. If you can see that there, it's an inch too short, and then it's going to be exactly the right size as we carry on. So let me just move my yarn out of the way, it's a bit distracting. Okay, this is a very simple pattern and it makes the gorgeous chunky case if you want to use it for pencils or like I am for my crochet hooks, which are becoming rather numerous. I've got a crochet hook case that I made a while back, but it's far too small now, so I have to make another one. And I thought this is so bright and colourful that this would be great. So this is quite easy pattern. In the second hook, sorry, the second chain from the hook, we're going to make a single crochet. So we go in and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. And we're going to put a single crochet into every single stitch in the chain. Just like that. When you get to the very last one, we're going to put 3 single crochets into this one. So we're going to turn around the corner, be one here, one at the end, and then one on the other side in effect. So we're going to go in, make a single crochet and turn slightly, go in, avoiding the tail, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, that's 2, and then the third one. Now we've turned the corner and we're going to work into the backs of the back loop of our chain row all the way to the very end, and in the last one we're going to put 2. But I'm going to work all the way along this chain and meet you at the end. So I'm just coming up to the end, doing the last couple. one there, and then into this last one we want to put 2 single crochets, which helps us to turn the end. So you should have something like this now, and as you would notice, it's already making a sort of dent, a sort of a boat shape already. So we're going to carry on working this in a spiral or amigurumi style without slip stitching or any turning chains, and we're just going to, and you can see the V's quite clearly there of each stitch, we're just going to put a single crochet into every stitch around. And if you want, oops, it's one of my own hairs there, if you want, right back here in the corner you can pop your stitch marker in, just to let you know where the beginning of the row is. It's not for any other reason other than just to let you know where you are, which end is the beginning and which is the end, really. It's for reference. So there we go, and we can carry on, and what we're going to do is just keep going around and around and around until we get something that looks like a bag. So I'm going to keep going with 1 single crochet into every stitch all the way around, and I'll get back to you when I have something that looks like a bag. So you'll get to a certain point where it will start to look like a boat like that, see? But you will also notice that, hold on a minute, it's inside out. So all you do is just poke it through the right way, and then you can continue on as you were the correct way around, and it's looking really lovely. I think I've got a couple of inches here. Now I'm going to keep going until mine is about, I don't know, about 5 or 6 inches tall. It's just a single crochet in every stitch, and you just keep going round and round and round in a loop like that. So I'll meet you back when I think mine is about the right size. I've got to the point where my little bag measures just shy of 5 inches, and that's about the size that I want for my bag. Now I've stopped at the correct end where I've put my marker, so that's where I began. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do a row of slip stitches just to close the very ends up, to give us something to sew the zip onto. We need to close this a little bit. So we're going to go into this stitch here, and we're going to go into the opposite side as well. Okay, so we're going to go into this stitch on this side and the opposite stitch on the other side, and we're just going to make a slip stitch. Okay, so that's going to take us right over, and then we're going to go into this next one. Oops, my yarn's in the wrong way. Go into the next one and slip stitch. We're just going to slip stitch in every one until we get to the last stitch on the other side. Now if you're unfamiliar with a slip stitch, you go in through the 2 loops, let me do that again, in through the 2 loops, yarn over, pull through, and then pull through the loop on your hook. I'm going to take my marker off now because it's driving me up the wall, that noise. I don't need it now. I know where I am. So we go in, we pull up a loop, and then we pull it through the one on our hook. So we're not actually increasing any, just a teeny weeny bit because the yarn is quite thick. Are we at the end one? Not quite, one more. And we're going to go into that last one and into its corresponding one on the other side there, as you can see. Yarn over, pull right the way through, and then through the loop on the hook. So turn over, shift the yarn out of the way because we want to slip stitch right there, and what that's done is it's created a stitch across ways and pulled it in slightly, as you can see there. All right, now we're just going to keep going all the way back down to the end. Go in, pull up the loop and pull it through the one on the hook. It's quite simple and quite a quick stitch. I'm going to go all the way to the end, and our bag is almost finished. Bar the thing I personally find the most complicated thing, and that's sewing in the zip. Right, now I've come to the end, and all I want to do is slip stitch into that final one. And then snip it, snip it off there. Okay, pull my yarn through. Now I'm going to weave that in a minute. So what that's done is it's created a nice rounded edge on either side, and now all we have to do is sew in our zip. Now the best way to do that, let me just pull through my end to weave. There we go, nicely tucked in. Now the best way to do this, to put in our zip, is to turn the whole thing inside out, and that way you are stitching onto the wrong side, and it's a lot easier for you to do. So weave in your end and then attach your zip, and I will come back to you as soon as I have done that bit. For those of you who aren't sewers, I just thought I'd pop back in and show you that I've started by making a tack. I'm going to make a tack here of putting the zip end in the right place first, because that's the very important bit. You need to be able to hold on to the zip and undo it. So I'm tacking that first, and then I will go along and tack the other end and put that in place before I will make my stitches all along the edge. And you want to be sewing right on the edge here on the inside so that it lays nicely just along the inside where the guide stitches tell you, the little black guide stitches on this colour tell me, and then you can find the corresponding side on the other. Just along the edge, you'll be doing that just on the inside of that slip stitch row, and then onto the other side. I'll show you when I've finished. You've tacked your zip on loosely, like I have here, nicely loosely tacked, and I'm happy with the positioning on the inside. You can, before you finish, before you get to the very end, don't forget to unzip it, otherwise you won't be able to do that at all. So once you're happy with the positioning and you're pleased with more or less pleased with how that's going to go, I think I'm going to make that a little bit closer to the edge on this side, then you can go around and sew it a little bit neater and straighter. If you're not a sewer, don't worry too much, because really this is for you and not for anybody else's scrutiny. We don't have to be too pedantic about it. And there you have it. It's all done, all finished. Isn't it lovely? Now you can decorate it with some applique if you like, or you've got some applique flowers that we could put on there, all sorts of different bits and bobs. But for now, this is absolutely perfect. My zip is a little bit stiff at the moment, but I can put whatever I like in there, and I'm really pleased with it. I've just got to take out the tacks. As you can see, I haven't done that. I've left the tacks in for the purpose of the tutorial. I've just got to remove that, and I'm really happy. It's big enough that I'm going to be able to fit everything I want inside. And then some, I reckon. So there you go. A very, very simple, very easy pencil case or crochet hook holder. Thanks for joining me for this tutorial. If I could just ask you to take a moment to subscribe, click like on this video, and share if you have social media. Thanks a lot for joining me. You take care and happy crocheting.